In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, inside a steel shipping container, 37 people were packed in complete darkness. No air, no water, no idea where they were going. By the time the ship reached shore, only 21 were still alive, and one of them remembered everything. It began with a company called Blue Wave Global Freight. In just 3 years, it became one of the fastest expanding logistics companies in the United States. New ships, new routes, new contracts with ports in Texas, Florida, New Jersey, and California. Its CEO, Daniel Mercer, was praised in business magazines. Visionary, self-made billionaire, revolutionizing maritime transport. But there was something strange. Blue Wave ships never traveled full. On paper they did, but port workers noticed containers were sealed unusually tight. No inspections allowed. Security teams hired privately, and every ship had one specific route that never appeared in public schedules. It wasn't drugs. It wasn't weapons. It was people. Migrants from South America, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia were promised safe passage into the United States. They paid everything they had. The deal was simple: 3 days inside a container, then freedom. But freedom wasn't the destination. The containers were modified. Tiny drilled air holes, false insulation to block thermal scans, GPS-disabled zones during transit, paid-off port officials. Each container held between 25 and 40 people. No bathrooms, no medical aid, no guaranteed survival. They were treated as cargo, because to Mercer, they were numbers. Mercer didn't see himself as evil. He saw economics. 1 container equals 30 migrants. Each migrant pays $15,000. That's $450,000 per container. A single ship could carry 20 special containers, nearly $9 million per trip. And if some didn't survive, insurance fraud covered losses. The dead were listed as accidental overboard casualties in remote waters. Profit margins remained untouched. To Mercer, desperation was a commodity. On a cold November night, container 417 was loaded onto the cargo ship Ocean Crown in a private dock outside Houston. Inside were 34 migrants. Among them, a 19-year-old engineering student named Mateo Alvarez. Mateo wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the loudest, but he was observant. When the doors sealed shut, darkness swallowed them. Within hours, oxygen thinned. Panic began. People pounded walls, some prayed, some cried for their mothers. Mateo did something different. He counted. He memorized the vibration rhythm of engines, the number of left turns during departure, the duration between stops, the shift in air pressure, the smell of salt intensity. He treated it like an equation, because if he survived, he would need proof. On the second night, a woman collapsed. By morning, 2 men stopped breathing. There was no space to lay them down. The living sat beside the dead. Psychology began to fracture. Some tried to fight, some hallucinated. One man attempted to claw through steel until his fingernails tore off. Mateo stayed silent, counting seconds, listening to patterns, mapping the route in his mind. When the ship slowed significantly and the container tilted slightly east, he realized something. They weren't heading to New York like promised. They were rerouting south, possibly Mexico, which meant they weren't being smuggled into America. They were being trafficked for labor resale. After 4 days, Container 417 was opened in a remote dock warehouse in Veracruz, Mexico. Only 18 were alive. Bodies were removed quietly. The survivors were separated. But Mateo noticed something critical. The dock sign read Pier 12 Gulf Transfer Sector. He memorized it. That night, during transfer chaos, Mateo escaped through a damaged fence. He didn't run randomly. He ran towards city lights. Months later, an anonymous email reached an investigative journalist in Miami. Subject line: Container 417. Attached: a hand-drawn route map, time calculations, dock names, estimated engine speed intervals. It was detailed, precise. The journalist cross-referenced maritime logs. Blue Wave ships had unexplained route gaps. Then came whistleblowers. Then satellite data leaks. Then missing migrant reports. The pattern formed. The human cargo ship network was real. Federal investigations launched. Multiple ports raided. Private security arrested. Containers opened mid-transit. Inside one ship near the Gulf Coast, 47 people were rescued. Daniel Mercer denied everything. He claimed rogue employees, but financial trails linked him directly. Offshore accounts, insurance payouts, bribes. He was arrested in his penthouse overlooking Manhattan. Reporters asked, "Do you regret it?" He answered calmly, "I provided opportunity." During trial preparation, prosecutors discovered something chilling. Mercer didn't design the network alone. He sold route data to an international trafficking syndicate. The ships were only one piece of a larger global system, and the organization funding it, still unknown. Mateo watches the news from a modest apartment in Miami. He survived, but thousands didn't. And somewhere in the world, another ship is being loaded. They weren't cargo. They were hope. They were fathers, daughters, dreamers. And someone turned their desperation into profit. The ocean is silent, but steel remembers.